Chloe, you are not gonna believe the story I have for you today. It's this wild mystery about a house in Korea. The owner, this lady named Tae-soon, was apparently super nice and welcoming to everyone. But then, back in December '99, she was found dead in her own home. The case went cold for 22 years, like totally forgotten. But get this, Chloe, the truth doesn't just vanish. It was literally written all over the victim's body, just waiting for someone to finally read the receipts. So it all started with this super creepy silence. Her sister, who she talked to like all the time, suddenly wasn't picking up. Total ghosting. The sister got this awful gut feeling, and her fam rushed over to the house. They're knocking, shouting her name, nothing. The house is locked up tight from the inside, and the silence was just deafening. So the brother-in-law, being a champ, decides to climb up to the second-floor veranda to get in. Imagine that vibe, like feeling guilty for breaking in, but also terrified of what you're gonna find. Creak. He gets into the living room, and it's pitch black. The place is a total wreck, like it was tossed. Drawers open, clothes everywhere. But in the middle of all that chaos, one thing was just still. A blanket, just lying in the middle of the floor. He said his hands were shaking when he grabbed the corner of it. A second felt like a year, you know? And when he finally pulled it back, he just screamed. Tae-soon was under there. And the scene was messed up. A plastic bag over her head wrapped with layers and layers of green duct tape. A glove stuffed in her mouth. Her hands and feet were tied up with a necktie and an electrical cord. The killer had laid her out so neatly. It was bizarre. One of the detectives on the scene even said it was like looking at a body prepared for a funeral. Super unsettling. The cops show up, and the first thing they notice is how weirdly tidy some things were. The roll of duct tape used in the murder was put back in her son's drawer. That just screamed inside job, right? Not some random burglar. So the cops were like, okay, the killer knew this house. That was mistake number one. Then the ME comes back and says the bindings were post-mortem, meaning she was tied up after she died. That was mistake number two, and it basically derailed the entire investigation. The whole case became about why would an acquaintance kill her and then wrap her up like a mummy? They grilled all her friends and family, but it was a total dead end. The killer was a ghost, and the clock just ran out. In 2014, the statute of limitations expired. Case closed, or so they thought. But obvi, if the story ended there, I wouldn't be telling you. Fast forward 22 years, and this dusty old case file gets a second look. A new team, these cold case forensic nerds, start digging through the old photos and reports, trying to decode the final message left on the body. And they asked one simple question. What if the cops were wrong? What if it was the complete opposite? And that one question, Chloe, was the key that blew the whole case wide open. First thing they spot is this faint red mark on her wrist in one of the old B&W photos. Back then, they just thought it was livor mortis. But with new tech, it was a vital reaction. Basically, it's proof the body was still alive and fighting back when it was tied up. The binding was pre-mortem. That one fact flips the entire 22-year-old investigation on its head. The motive wasn't a grudge. It was a robbery. The killer had to tie her up while she was alive to threaten her. The trashed house wasn't a stage. They were actually looking for stuff. This new theory made so much more sense. The way she was tied up with her hands in front, classic robbery move to control someone while you make them tell you where the valuables are. The killer probably came in as a guest, but things went south when she fought back or saw their face, so they killed her. But wait, it gets weirder. Not all the pieces fit. Those 2 coffee cups in the sink are still a huge question mark. Did a single killer come in as a guest, share a coffee, and then turn into a robber? Or was this a 2-person job from the start? And the plastic bag over her head at the end? What was that about? Was it a flicker of guilt from a killer who knew her? Or just extra cruelty to make sure she was dead? The picture is getting clearer, but the killer's face is still a total blur. The statute of limitations is up, and the killer is still out there, hiding in plain sight. So, listening to all this, what's your take? Those 2 coffee cups, what's the vibe? Do you think it was a lone wolf who pretended to be a guest? Or was this the work of a duo who planned the whole thing? And that plastic bag finish, was that a sign of guilt or just part of their brutal game? Let me know your theories in the comments.